The hum of the engine and the endless stretch of the interstate have a hypnotic quality that lulls me close to sleep. But sleep has to wait. It's another 6 hours to Denver, and though it's Pete's turn behind the wheel, I can't shake the restless feeling tugging at my thoughts. "Why don't you catch some shut-eye, Jack?" Pete suggests, his eyes fixed on the road, hand steady on the steering wheel. His voice, though casual, barely masks the strain of the long hours. I nod, too weary to argue. The cabin of our truck is cramped, a small space cluttered with the remnants of fast food and coffee cups that tells the story of our week on the road. I curtain off the sleeper berth at the back, strip down to my basics, and let the rumble of the 18-wheeler rock me into a fitful sleep. Sleep doesn't last long. I awake to a sudden jolt, the truck swerving slightly as if nudging me back to consciousness. Rubbing the sleep from my eyes, I draw back the curtain slightly and freeze, the sight before me cutting through the haze of sleep like a cold blade. It's not the road ahead that captures my attention, or the familiar back of Pete driving. It's the figure next to him, barely clothed, laughing with a wild abandon that chills my blood. Mara? The name escapes my lips as a whisper torn from the deepest part of my betrayal. My wife, Mara, turns her head, and her eyes meet mine in the rearview mirror. There's a flicker of something, shame, surprise, fear, before she masks it with a hollow smile. "Jack!" "You're awake," Pete says, his voice too loud, a clumsy cover for the shock of being caught. "We were just having fun, it seems," I interrupt, my voice cold, distant. I stare at Mara, her tangled blonde hair, the makeup smearing her cheeks, and the way she's barely covering herself with a cheap, sequined top I've never seen before. Mara stumbles over words, a messy attempt at excuses. "Jack, Save it," I snap, cutting her off, feeling the acid of betrayal corroding any warmth I once held. "How long, Mara?" She flinches, her eyes darting away, unable to meet my gaze. Pete finally pulls the truck over, the tires crunching against the gravel on the side of the highway. "Jack, man, I swear." "Not another word," I warn, stepping out into the cold night air. The highway is deserted, a stark landscape of shadow and moonlight. Mara follows, her steps hesitant. "Jack, please, let me explain." "You were working the highway?" The words taste bitter. "Selling yourself like this?" Tears streak her face, mingling with the cheap mascara. "It's not what you think, Jack." "It was just." I don't hear the rest. The roar of blood in my ears drowns her out. Betrayed by my wife, my partner in life, turned highway harlot. And Pete, my so-called friend, her client on this dark, desolate road. "I trusted you both." My shout echoes into the night, a hollow sound against the vast, uncaring landscape. Mara reaches out, her hand trembling. "Jack, I'm so sorry." I step back, her touch like poison. Sorry doesn't even start to cover it. Turning away, I stare down the dark road. Revenge, a dark seed, takes root in my heart. Pete and Mara, their betrayal unforgivable, will have to pay. I will make sure of it. This isn't just a night's mistake. It's the end of everything we were, and the beginning of what I must do. Revenge will be my new road, my new journey. As the cold wind picks up, whipping around me, I make my decision. They will regret this night, and I will be the architect of their downfall. The road is a blur under the streetlights as I drive away from the truck stop, leaving Mara and Pete behind. My mind races faster than the miles ticking by, each thought punctuated by the roar of my engine. The betrayal feels like a vice around my chest, tightening with every memory of Mara's touch, every shared laugh with Pete. But as dawn approaches, the light brings clarity, and with it, a plan forms. I pull into a diner, the neon sign buzzing a welcome to the few souls seeking refuge in coffee and solitude. As I step inside, the bell above the door jingles, announcing me to the sparse early morning crowd. I slide into a booth, my back to the wall, eyes on the door. The waitress, a middle-aged woman with a kind face and tired eyes, approaches with a pot of coffee. "Morning, hun, what can I get you?" "Just coffee, Thanks, I mutter, my voice rough from a sleepless night. She pours the coffee with a sympathetic nod and moves off to attend to another customer. That's when I notice him, a tall, broad-shouldered man sitting alone at the counter, his jacket marked with the logo of a local construction company. I recognize the look in his eyes, the same hollowed-out look that must be in my own. I take a deep breath and approach him. Mind if I join you? I ask, indicating the stool next to him. He sizes me up for a moment before nodding, pushing a mug towards me. What's on your mind? You look like you've been through hell. I chuckle without humor. Feels more like I'm heading there. Got a job for a man looking to disappear for a while? He raises an eyebrow, intrigued. Might be. I'm Dale. I run a crew down south, always looking for hands who don't ask too many questions. Dale, I'm Jack. I extend my hand, and we shake, sealing more than just a greeting. We talk logistics over coffee, the early morning light streaming in, casting long shadows on the Formica. Dale explains the job, a remote site, tough conditions, good pay, and most importantly, discretion. As I'm about to leave, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Mara. Just 3 words, we need to talk. I stare at the screen, the words blurring before my eyes. I shut the phone off and slide it back into my pocket. Dale, when do we start? Tomorrow morning. Meet at the yard at 6. Perfect. I stand, feeling a weight lifting slightly. It's not forgiveness or forgetfulness, it's focus. Thanks for the coffee, I add, throwing a few bills on the counter. As I step back outside, the cold morning air feels sharp against my skin. I get into my truck, the space beside me glaringly empty. For a moment, the loneliness is overwhelming. Then I fire up the engine, the familiar rumble comforting, grounding. I make one stop before leaving town, a small, nondescript office building. Inside, I speak with a man named Mike, who specializes in less-than-legal requests. I need someone found, I tell him, sliding a picture of Pete across the desk. And I want to know every move he makes. Mike nods, his expression unreadable. It'll cost you. I'll pay. Just do it fast. Leaving Mike's office, I feel the final piece of my plan slot into place. As I head towards the construction site, the road stretches out before me, a path leading away from my old life and towards something unknown. I'm not just running, I'm hunting now. And my prey has no idea what's coming. The sun hasn't even cracked the horizon when I pull into the gravel lot of the construction yard. Men in hard hats and steel-toe boots move like shadows against the dawn, preparing for the day. Dale waves me over from where he stands by a battered pickup truck, clipboard in hand. You made it, he grunts, handing me a hard hat. You'll be on the excavator today. Ever handle one? Couple of times, I reply, the lie smooth on my tongue. The truth is, I've never even sat in one, but desperation makes a quick learner, and I can't afford to be turned away now. Dale seems to buy it, or doesn't care enough to question further. He nods toward a giant piece of machinery painted a faded yellow. She's all yours. Don't screw it up. The excavator stands like a behemoth, its metal limbs cold and imposing. Climbing into the cab, I feel a twinge of apprehension. I adjust the levers, recalling every piece of machinery I've ever operated, trying to find similarities. The engine roars to life under my tentative control, a beast awakening. I spend the morning tearing into the earth, the machine eventually feeling like an extension of my own vengeful thoughts. With each scoop of dirt, I bury deeper my old life, my betrayal. At lunch, I sit alone on a pile of lumber, the other workers keeping to their established groups. My phone vibrates, and I hesitate before checking it. It's another message from Mara, more desperate this time. Jack, please. We need to talk. It's not what you think. I consider responding but shove the phone away, bitterness rising like bile. You don't talk much, do you? The voice comes from a young guy named Tom, his safety vest new, his boots barely scuffed. He's been trying to make conversation all morning. Not much to say, I answer, I still on my phone. Tom sits down beside me, unwrapping a sandwich. Fair enough. But you handle that excavator like it's personal. Something you want to get off your chest? I glance at him, seeing not just a nosy kid, but a potential ally. Just working out some problems. Good as any way to deal with them. Out here, it's just us and the dirt. Secrets don't stay buried for long, though, Tom muses, biting into his sandwich. His words stick with me as we resume work. The afternoon sun beats down, sweat mingling with the dirt on my face. As I dig, a plan forms, more concrete with each movement of the excavator's arm. Later, as the day winds down, I pull Tom aside. You know how to find things out? Quietly? Tom looks at me, measuring. Might do, depends on what, or who, you're looking to find. I need information. Someone's been lying to me, and I need proof. My voice is low, urgent. Tom nods slowly. I might know a guy. Computer whiz. Can dig up dirt without leaving a trail. Can you connect us? Meet me after work. We'll talk. As the other workers head for their cars, Tom leads me to a rusty old diner on the outskirts of town. Inside, we meet his friend, a wiry man with sharp eyes named Marty. You're looking to dig up secrets? Marty asks after Tom's introduction. Yeah. I need everything you can find on a man named Pete. Recent activities, contacts, movements, I say, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Marty's fingers dance over his laptop, his expression intent. Give me 48 hours. I'll have something for you. As I drive back to the empty motel room that's become my temporary home, I feel the gears of revenge turning. I'm no longer just reacting, I'm acting, setting the stage for retribution. Pete, Mara, they won't see me coming. And by the time they do, it'll be too late. The motel room feels more like a bunker as I wait. 48 agonizing hours tick by, each minute stretching longer than the last. Finally, Marty's number flashes on my screen, and I pick up immediately. I've got something for you, Jack. Marty's voice is low, heavy with implication. You might want to sit down for this. Tell me, I insist, my voice tense with anticipation and dread. It's about Pete and your wife, Mara. But there's more. Much more. Get to the point, I snap, impatience getting the better of me. Pete wasn't just having fun, he was being set up, by Mara, yes, but she's not the instigator. There's a bigger player in the game. Your friend Pete has debts, gambling ones, big ones. Someone's been pulling his strings, making him push into certain businesses. I clench the phone tighter, feeling the first threads of confusion. What businesses? Human trafficking, Jack. And your wife? She's not working the highway by her choice. It's coercion, stemming from Pete's debts. They used him to control her. My heart slams against my ribcage. The pieces click into place, but they form a picture so ugly I can hardly bear to look at it. Are you telling me Mara is a victim in all this? Seems like it. I found transactions, threats made to her family, to you. They told Pete to keep her in line, or else. The room spins around me as the foundation of my revenge crumbles into dust. Anger turns to horror and then to a fierce, protective determination. What do I do now? My voice is barely a whisper, a mix of fury and fear. Go to the police, Jack. They can protect Mara, and they can help her out of this mess. Pete too, if he cooperates. I hang up and sit in silence, the darkness of the room enveloping me like a shroud. Mara a victim, not a villain. And I, blinded by my hurt, almost missed the true enemy. I make my decision. The night is deep and silent as I drive, the streets deserted as I pull up to the police station. I walk in, the evidence provided by Marty on a USB drive in my pocket. After a long conversation with a detective, the plan is set in motion. They move quickly, raiding the locations Marty unearthed, arresting the ringleaders, securing Mara and Pete under protective custody. Weeks later, I stand outside a small cafe, waiting. Mara steps out, her eyes meeting mine, not with the defiance I expected, but with gratitude and something fragile that might, in time, grow back into love. Jack, she starts, but I hold up a hand. I know, Mara. It's not your fault. I'm just sorry it took me so long to see what was really happening, I say, my voice thick with emotion. She steps forward, tears glistening in her eyes. Can we start over? Really start over? I nod, taking her hand. Yes. We've both been through hell, but we're here now, together. As we walk into the cafe, the sun breaks through the clouds, casting long, healing shadows behind us. The road to recovery would be long and hard, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful. The truth, harsh and painful, had set us free, and together we'd rebuild, stronger and wiser than before.